Hello, and welcome to Prospects of Kidkind. I'm Eliza, and this is Celia, and we have a really exciting show today, so I'm going to introduce our guests. We have Joi Ito, who is the director of the MIT Media Lab. He's a triple dropout. He's passionate about learning new things, spending time with interesting people, like children, and the future of art, science, design, and engineering. He's invested in various companies through various vehicles as an angel investor. He recently co-authored a book called Whiplash, which I started reading, which I really like.
Thank you.
Yeah. Looking forward to an autobiography next, if that's going to come. I don't know. Anyway, sorry. He's taught a class called Principles of Awareness, where he explored meditation and mindfulness. He's a scuba instructor and loves to scuba dive. Okay, now I'll introduce our other guests. We have Rebecca, who's 10 years old and in the 4th grade. She loves science, archery, and her husky named Gronk. She has 2 younger sisters, one of which is with us today. She likes to travel to historical places and learn about them. She likes to read both fiction and nonfiction and wants to be a scientist one day. Cool. Okay, and then we have Rachel, who's 8 years old and is in the 2nd grade. She likes to play piano, and she loves all games, both real and pretend, and likes to be in charge. Is that correct? Awesome. Okay, and for our fun fact today, if everyone could tell us what kind of tree they would be if they had to be a tree.
Okay, great. I would have to say I'd like to be a willow tree. I just think they're beautiful, I like how they sway. That's mine for now.
I'd like to be the giving tree for reasons that are self-explanatory, I think. Yeah. How about you?
I don't know if this is actually a tree, but there's the bamboo. It's actually grass, but it looks like a tree. And the neat thing about bamboo is all the bamboo in a thicket, like a little forest, they're all connected to each other under the roots. And they actually sort of bloom some of them every 100 years or so. So it's kind of a community thing. But it's actually disobedient because I don't think it's actually a tree.
Already breaking the rules. Cool. How about you?
I would like to be an apple or pear tree because I love those fruits and they're very healthy for people.
Those are healthy fruits. Good choice. How about you?
I would like to be an oak tree because they're nice and sturdy and they're probably good for climbing.
True. Cool.
Do you climb a lot of trees?
There's not really any trees in my backyard that I can climb.
We have one in our front yard that we used to climb and now it's getting old so we don't climb it anymore.
Great. So for our first question, we'll be talking about the value of education. What is the point of school? Should everyone receive the same formal education? Why is everyone learning the same thing? Is that the right way to teach people? What do we think?
Do you want to go first?
I think that it's pretty good that we're all learning the same thing since people don't really know what job they're going to pick when they grow up.
That's great.
What about you?
Everyone should learn the same way. So in different classes they could have people teach different things in different classes.
So I'm going to disagree.
Uh-oh.
I guess this is a debate,
Yeah,
so I can disagree.
yes.
And I think partially the reason I'm disagreeing is because I wasn't so good at school. I didn't do that well. And the reason I dropped out was school didn't really work for me, and I think different people learn differently. And so I think it's important that we all learn basic things. But I also think that sometimes school tries to teach everybody in the same way. But my sister, for instance, got straight A's, and because she was very good at learning through books. But I didn't really like books, but I like having conversations. So I think there should be a little bit of diversity to allow people to learn differently.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I also didn't get the best grades in school. And I thought it was crazy that you have to be good at every single subject, even if you don't like one of the subjects. I really liked math, but I really, really did not like language arts. I don't even know what that is still. But, I just thought it was a little silly that you have to be good at every single thing in school to get good grades to go to a good college. It would be cool if you could just be good at some things. But then I would worry that too early on you pick something and then you might regret it as well. I don't know. But cool.
Yeah, it's hard to know, how to change the lesson plan, right? To make it so we know we have the basic understanding of things, but also to have our own little creative other ways of learning as well.
So, do you guys think that it's okay to drop out of school? He dropped out of school. Would you drop out of school? What do you think?
I wouldn't, because I want to be very smart and and be able to do stuff and maybe become famous one day like Albert Einstein.
What about you? What do you think?
I wouldn't drop out of school because I would like to become someone like my mom, except probably get a different job though.
And your mom has a PhD, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say for the
Yeah.
record that
Yeah.
I think it's a bad idea to drop out. So, and a lot of people sort of, there's a word called survivorship bias. And what that means is, it means that when you talk to famous people, or you look at data, you're always looking at the survivors. But for every dropout that has survived, there's a whole bunch of dropouts that didn't do so well. And so the fact that I dropped out isn't what made me successful at anything I did. I think it was actually harder. So partially it's because my job is to convince people to finish their degrees,
Yeah.
but I do think you're right. I think if you have the discipline to finish your degree, you should.
Okay. Maybe we can move on to our next question, which is, why do we lose the sense of play as we get older? Personally, I don't understand why there are no adult playgrounds. You know, I see a lot of adults outside just sitting or staring at a phone, or they're working out, but there's no way for adults to really play outside. You know, a playground is a wonderful place to, like, kids, they meet other kids, they're getting exercise, they're having fun, but adults, we lose the spirit as we get older, and I'm wondering, I guess, why are adults the way they are? Why do you think we lose our sense of play? Do you guys feel as you're getting older that you're becoming less playful? What do you think?
I think I might become a little less, because since I usually have to wake up early to go to school.
They lose it because they don't really have that much energy. And they don't really feel like running around or something.
Why do you think adults don't have as much energy?
It's because they're like older and they don't really have the opportunity to, and also sometimes their legs would hurt really bad. Like my dad's leg sometimes hurts a lot.
Yeah, so you can't play as much. Or maybe we don't eat as much candy.
Mm.
What do you think? Or do you want to go?
They lose the sense of play because they're usually busy and they have to go to work, and they really wake up early. They wake up really early to go to work. Like my mom, when she goes to work, she sometimes has to get up at 6 or 5 o'clock and leave early.
Terrible.
And so they don't really have any energy to play. And whenever it's a nice day, they want to enjoy the day. And also, usually when you start to get even older, then your joints start hurting.
So I would agree with both of you about energy. I think there's another way to say what you said about having to get up early and do all this stuff is the responsibility that adults have of protecting and producing and all these things, and you become suddenly very serious. And I think play is more than just running around, though. I think play can be playfulness, so it's sort of a way of thinking about the world. And I think it's unfortunate that adults sometimes have to lose some of this play, because I think play, we at the Media Lab, we associate play also with learning. So we have a group called Lifelong Kindergarten, because we think kindergarten is actually a really great place for people to learn while being playful. And school, I think as you get into go up the grades, it becomes more and more serious. And for serious things, it's important to become serious, but for creative things, play is actually very useful. And I think that we underemphasize the importance of play as we become adults.
Yeah, it's in the upper grades we don't really have that much time to play.
Yeah.
Because we have to do more work.
And that's why you said earlier that we should have more recess.
Yeah.
Right, and as
I
you
actually
older,
get recess twice a day.
Oh.
so you want a third recess?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for adult playgrounds. I think that should be a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just saying.
I still play on playgrounds when I get the chance.
Really?
Like if
Yeah.
I
But
see like
isn't
if I
everything
see
too small, like the slides?
It
and
is.
stuff?
I mean,
some
There are a
things
few
you
good
can
ones.
climb. You have to like bend your knees a little bit. Yeah. All right, cool. For our next question, what kind of rules govern your dream world? What does your utopia look like? What do you think, Rachel?
Like, it's, sort of like this, except it's like a little different than how the normal world is.
what's different about it?
Like, in the world, there's more rules, like, to keep us safer or something like that.
Yeah. What about you?
It would kind of look like this world, but there would also be different places that look like something you've never seen before, like only in movies or something. And also one of the rules would be like, if someone is blasting offensive music in the middle of the night or something, they would be fined.
Oh.
That sounds like more rules. Yeah.
All right. Okay. What rules govern your dream world?
Well, I think my dream world is where you can experiment more. So you could try things again, or you could try two things, and that if you mess something up, that you can just kind of reset it.
That would be awesome. Would you remember the previous experience if you reset it?
Yeah, I think so, because otherwise you'd do it again.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good catch right there. Yeah. In my dream world, I wish that I could talk to anybody that I wanted to talk to, that people that are really smart or really cool were more accessible, and that you could just be friends with anyone that you wanted to be friends with, and there was just more general friendliness amongst people. Yeah.
Definitely.
And free parking everywhere.
That's a big one. It's a huge stress for everyone.
I know.
Well, my dream world wouldn't have any parking because we would just be in space traveling from planet to planet, and there are no cars. We're just exploring, really. Nope.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, moving on to our next question. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence. And I've been reading a little bit about your book Whiplash, which is How to Survive Our Faster Future, which deals with some of these things. And so you offer advice on how to adapt to the changing cultures of our society. And, our society is changing, guys, right? So it's going really quick. So
Yep.
I was wondering, for you guys, do you remember a time before all this technology in the world, before the internet or things like that? I think we remember that a little bit. Or I know you have this phrase, before internet. Yeah, so. And can you guys imagine a world without technology? Would you want to live in a world without technology?
Well-
and do things like robots and stuff scare you, or are you excited for that?
I kind of would want to live in a world with technology, because if there was no technology, then stuff would happen, like there wouldn't be all these cures for diseases, and also if someone has medical problems, then they wouldn't be able to call for help since there's no such thing as phones. And also, I am kind of scared of what's happening to robots, because maybe they could eventually become smarter than us and know more, and then they would be in charge of us instead of us in charge of them.
Yeah. And they would put us into slavery, or else they would do something bad to us.
So you think robots might take over and do bad things? Interesting. And do you guys remember a time before technology at all? Or
When my mom was a kid, there was not really phones and stuff.
Yeah. All right. Cool. What about you?
So on artificial intelligence and robots, at least in the short term, I'm more worried about them becoming enslaved to us, and then humans using them against each other in a bad way, or them doing, or unintentionally having them end up doing bad things in service of society. I think in the long run, it's possible that they'll become really smart and think we're kind of a bad idea and get rid of us, but I think that it's also possible that they get really smart and help us cooperate. So I think the idea is, how do we design these technologies to be better, but we're not really good at designing technologies to be better, so we'll have to learn a lot. So I think the future is up to us, and whether we can sort of, like to your thing about the future, if we can make people be more friendly, I think the technology will be more friendly too.
Yeah. And I think that technology divides us a lot. I think that smartphones are the worst thing ever. And everywhere I look, people, they're not talking to each other anymore. They're just on their phones. If you're in an elevator, it's just people, you're surrounded by these phones. And I think that scares me a lot. I worry that it's a divider. And I mean, the amount of information that you can get from a smartphone is incredible, but I'm also afraid that people don't use it for intellectual purposes. They use it for things like social media or something perhaps, which has good effects, but sometimes I just worry that we're not designing technology in a way that's the most beneficial for us, and it has so much potential, and instead they're just like little phone zombies.
Yeah, that's the reason why it was invented. It wasn't made for Facebook, Twitter, and games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always really hesitant towards technology. Like even when the computer was first coming out and the slow dial-up, I was always thinking like, what are these people doing? But I do think obviously that great things have come from it. Maybe we're going to be a little bit more socially weird growing up. Everyone relying on connection through telephone, through the iPhone, whatever. But ultimately, I think we're headed to good places and we'll learn from it.
Yeah. Another thing I just want to mention that also freaks me out is, Sherry Turkle is this cool person, a professor at MIT, who had this experience where she was building robots to talk to elderly people, and then one day kind of realized that it was a little messed up, and she felt bad because elderly people are so fascinating. They're filled with stories. I mean, they've been around for so long. They're probably inevitably wiser than us, and instead of talking to them, we were building robots to talk to them. And the elderly people liked it and enjoyed talking to the robots, but perhaps ethically and morally, it's kind of a sad thing, and I think about that a lot too. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah,
about
although
that?
on the other hand, the robots may be better than nothing for some people.
That's a great point.
And also, we've had one of our groups, Personal Robotics, had launched robots into hospitals, pediatrics, and the kids actually opened up to the robots more than they opened up to humans because the robots weren't judging them. And they're available 24 hours a day. So I think it depends sort of on the use, and you don't want to swap out humans, but I think they can also help because also it turns out the kids took their medicine more when there was a robot in the room because
really
it's sort of,
interesting.
because it was like a toy.
That's really cool. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next
Okay.
question though. So you are one of Timothy Leary's godsons, which is really cool. And Timothy Leary, one of his more famous sayings, was question authority and think for yourself. So I want to ask you guys, what does it mean to question authority? What if everyone stopped following the rules, what would happen? And I think kids can be a little rebellious and break rules.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I would just say, by the way, every time you ask your parents why, you're questioning authority. Just to set the baseline.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Cool. Yeah. And I'm just wondering, why do you guys follow rules?
Because you would get in more trouble than you would if you didn't follow rules.
What? So, and it's bad to get in trouble.
Yeah, like you would feel scared when you get in
You're
trouble.
scared when you get in trouble.
Also, if no one followed rules, it would be a chaos. It would be chaos in the world.
Yeah.
And every day someone will get killed.
People will die. What do you think? Why do you follow rules?
I pretty much agree with Rachel because rules are meant to keep you safe. So like if there's a speed limit on the road, that's a rule, and what it's meant for is that it's less likely to make a car crash happen because everyone's traveling at the same speed.
Yeah, that's a good. But are there any rules that you think aren't so great?
There are some weird laws around the world.
Yeah, definitely. But any ones that you run into personally that you think this is a silly rule?
I don't really know.
Yeah, that's okay. What do you think?
So I think that there are certain rules. So Martin Luther King said a really important thing. He said that you have the moral imperative to follow just rules. but you also have the moral imperative to question unjust rules. Because in the past, when he was growing up, it was, there were rules against black people going to where white people could go. And that wasn't fair, and I think a lot of them disobeyed that rule, and that changed and caused the civil rights movement. There are today, there are new rules coming into place that may seem like they're not fair, and so you kind of have to question them because rules are made by people, and some people are. I think everybody's creating rules because they think they're appropriate, but sometimes the rules aren't necessarily going to help people save lives. Some of these rules are meant to be discrimination or unfair. And then also I think the idea of questioning authority doesn't necessarily mean you're just breaking rules. Questioning authority is really, so for instance in science, right? So if everybody just believed Newton's laws and never questioned them, Einstein would never have come up with special relativity. And so science, or Galileo questioning the idea about how the universe was organized, and he actually got punished by the Catholic Church because of the way that the idea that the Earth went around the sun. And so we wouldn't really have science today if people didn't question authority and think for themselves. So again, it's funny because we call them the laws of physics, but the laws are always being questioned by new scientists. And I think one of the problems a lot in academia is that you're kind of incentivized to sort of just believe what you're taught by your professor or you're taught in school, but questioning is important in order to advance science.
Definitely. Yeah, I struggle with the rules a lot. I think a lot of rules are crazy. I guess what I'm trying to say is that not everyone can question the rules probably as much as or break the rules as much as I break the rules, or my parents break the rules a lot. They're very sketchy. but they get, I think we can't all do it, but we definitely need people. I mean, we need rebels and we need people that break rules and question things because that's cool. And there's some stuff that doesn't make sense going on today everywhere, so.
Definitely. All right, let's move on.
Yes.
What is the craziest idea that you have ever heard or had yourself?
Probably like this robot dog. Like it could be a pet. Like,
This is your idea,
yeah,
a robot dog. Okay.
and it would be like your pet. It would act like a pet, but like if you ask it for something, like its paw would turn into like the thing that you asked it for.
Nice.
What about you, Rebecca?
When I was little, I used to think that, well, not really little, that there are multiple suns, like a lot of them, and whenever the sun sets, the ocean eats one of the suns, and when all the suns get eaten by the ocean, the world will end because without the sun, then everything will eventually die out.
Because it would be so cold on the world.
And there will
They
also
won't
be
have
no
any
food.
It's not that crazy.
And
Seems plausible to me.
also because trees won't grow and there will be no oxygen. Because trees need sunlight to grow.
This is true. What's the craziest idea you've ever had?
I already said mine.
What about Joey?
Oh.
You had or heard, right? So,
Yeah, you could do
so I heard a funny idea from a geneticist at Harvard, and he said that now we can basically do cloning. So we thought maybe we should just have 10 of the same kid and raise them all differently to see which way of raising produces the best kid, and then keep just sort of innovating until, because it's easier if you have the same kid the second time around because you'll know the right way to raise them. And so the idea was that stop making random babies, but just keep making the same baby, but educate them better.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
the
it's
craziest
gotta
idea
be,
you've ever heard?
Okay,
I like
this is, I don't know, one of my favorite, not so crazy, but one of my friends, he wants the superpower to take any unripe fruit or any spoiled fruit and turn it to be the perfect ripeness. And I just really like that one.
That's necessary.
Sounds like a
Right.
foodie.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's cool. For craziest idea you ever had or heard, for me, I think I wish that we could have dolls that we were like our best friends forever.
Nice.
That's about right. I just wish that we could have the technology to have basically all our thoughts in something. It could be like a little computer system inside like a toy, and it would help us make decisions. It would sound ourselves back to ourselves, and like it could, sometimes when you're not sure of something and you ask someone else, you really just want to ask yourself. But it would be cool to have yourself in some other form, just based on data collected by yourself. If that makes sense. It doesn't have to be a doll.
It sounds like AI.
Yeah, it could be anything. Yeah. We're going to do our last question, which is, what's the best piece of advice your parents ever gave you? Do you want to go first?
Never let anyone tell you can't do something because it's obviously not true if they're like another kid being mean to you.
So my dad said, told me not to do drugs.
Not
Like
to do drugs,
only the
that's
good
good.
drugs, like
Only
the medicine.
Okay.
And my mom says the same thing as Rebecca.
Cool. All right, what about you?
I think it was, you'll be fine. Whenever something's
Yeah.
really going bad, she'll say, you'll be fine.
That's really good. Yeah. I think for me it was just to never take anything seriously, because you should take things seriously, but you should never let any other person get to you or a situation get to you, because it's kind of similar to you'll be fine, but also to be able to laugh about anything and find the humor in situations, and that no one's better than you, you're never better than anyone else, and just to laugh, because we're here, we don't really have a choice, so it's kind of silly. Yeah.
Cool. Mine would be to treat every living thing well, with love. Even the plants.
Yeah.
Sing to them.
I can see your mom singing. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week for another episode. And thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.